debate at this point to bring some balance, I'm a King's College old boy, actually. That's my point. Is that I need to bring some balance to the debate, given that the government members, and I'm sure there's a few more private school old boys and girls on the government benches than there are on this side. I'll take it upon myself, Mr. Chair, to bring a little bit more balance. We don't all turn out wearing blue. Some of us manage to pop up on the red side of the House as well. And just looking at the preamble of the amendment bill, in clause number 1, the governing body of Christ College holds property given to or vested in it for various purposes. When I was at King's College, and I think it's still the case now, the governing body of that school, unlike most boards of trustees in New Zealand, there was no elections to that board. They didn't really believe in democracy, and in fact they had a little piece on the website about how, we all know how democracy can throw up interesting results, perhaps not the result that's best for the organisation, and so they sort of eschewed democracy and went for straight appointment of the board. I've no idea if the Christ College governing body referred to in clause 1 of the preamble has the same system. I actually just tried to do a quick search to see if the same system is in place at Christ College, and I couldn't find any information on how the Christ College governing board is actually appointed or elected, or what the system is. If the member in the chair has any information that might enlighten me on that, I would sincerely appreciate it if she would be able to get up and discuss that. But the Christ College governing body does hold property given to it for various purposes. Mostly these are trusts, and a lot of these are used for scholarships. And the nature of the purpose of scholarships can change over time. And again, Mr. Chair, I'd like to reflect on my time at King's College. It was in the mid-1990s, and at that point in time, it must make Mr. Mallard feel rather ancient, given that private schools were doing quite well in the mid-1990s, actually, to be fair, given the government of the day, but. And I don't know whether that makes Mr. Mallard feel rather old, knowing that I was at high school at the time. But I was at school in the mid-1990s, and at that time, the rugby union went from being an amateur sport to being a professional sport, and this was because of the way rugby league had been siphoning off so many of its players. And I know the chair is looking at me, hoping that I bring it back in. And this is to do with rugby scholarships to private schools like Christ College, because all of a sudden there was a proliferation of rugby scholarships as the New Zealand Rugby Union sought to contract young rugby players, and as King's College, and I'm sure Christ College also, sought to get some rugby stock into the school that it hadn't actually been able to generate itself through its own processes. So it looked on other schools to attract these players in. Now, these scholarships just suddenly proliferated in the mid-1990s, and I wonder whether this was a case of a trust like the type that we are dealing with in this bill being perhaps used for a slightly different purpose. It's possible that wasn't the case, that actually new money came in from another source. But it is situations like that I think the Select Committee was quite interested in on this bill, is that when you open up the use of property given to or vested in the governing body of a school like Christ College, that if you open up the use of that property or that trust money to alternative purposes, that use isn't sort of used in a manner which perhaps isn't quite becoming to educational purposes, and in this case is used for the prestige of the school on the sports field rather than perhaps the original nature of the scholarship. I mean, a number of those scholarships are put in place for sporting purposes, and of course there's absolutely no problem with that same use continuing on. But as clause 2 of the preamble points out, over time some of these purposes do become redundant and uncertain to application and impractical to implement. And it is important that while we widen the possibilities for the governing body to make use of that money, that we take care.
Mr. Chairman. The Honourable David Parker.
Mr Chairman, I know that under standing orders I'm limited to 4 calls on any one part of a bill or clause. 3, is it? I'll have to hurry up. 4.
You're on your 3rd.
No, I'm on my 3rd, that's right. So I might be hard-pressed to get through all of the things I need to raise, but I could not really go past the preamble without talking about some of the things that are referred to in the preamble in respect of these trusts and give some individual instances. Now, one of the gifts that has become redundant was the Duncan Rutherford Prize to provide a prize for the 200 yards Lady Jane handicap running race. Now I'm intrigued by this, and I would like the member and the chair to explain the title, the Lady Jane handicap running race. It's not the Lady Jane, in quotes, handicap running race. It's the Lady Jane handicap running race, and I don't understand what the Lady Jane handicap was. And I would be most pleased. And there's $14,000 of unspent income in this, and I'm confused as to what the Lady Jane handicap was that was of relevance to the 200-yard running race. So that's one that I would like answer for. The standing start I heard from Mr Quinn. Another one here that I've got is the 1947 gift of the prize for fives. Now, $7,000 unspent income in that, and we're told as to why that's redundant, is that the 5 courts were demolished, so fives is no longer played. Seems pretty poor planning at the school to demolish the courts. But maybe that's excusable, but we could have some explanation of that. Perhaps the one that I would like even to have some explanation is the Balfour Prize, an 1880 gift of $100. And this shows how little, from little acorns, large oak trees grow.
Point of order. Joe Goodhue.
Mr Chair, I am struggling at the moment to work out how this relates to the preamble.
Speaking to the point of order.
I don't think I need it. Sorry, I don't think I need any assistance. I think the member is actually speaking to about the trusts that exist, and I think he's within the scope of the bill. But I'm continuing to monitor.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Well, the Balfour Prize of a gift of $100, I presume it was pounds back in 1880, but it's shown on our papers as being a gift of $100, probably £50 back in 1880, now has unspent income of $25,000. And I thought, how could that be? How could that be? And then I looked, and I saw that it was a gold medal to be awarded annually to the boy passing in the best example in divinity, in the 4 Gospels and the Acts of the Apostles. Yeah. In Greek. And I thought, look, I was convinced when I read that one, I thought there was a need for some change given that Greek is no longer taught at Christ College. So I could agree with that one. The one that I found intriguing that they had not been able to give out as donations was the prize that was an annual prize for getting second in the 120 yards hurdles. Second. Now look, ours is not to reason why. I do not know why the prize was second. I know that even at Christ College, not everyone can come first. And I wonder whether there was some sort of personal interest on the part of the donor there who maybe in the annals of history became second in the 120 yards hurdles. Now I would have thought that ever since that prize has been in existence, there is someone coming second in the hurdles race. I would not have thought that Christ College would not. Now the other ones, and can I turn to a matter of some seriousness here, because there are a couple that go the other way. Because and those ones there that I've made light of, I can see why there is a need to vary the terms of the trust here. But there's a couple that worry me, and this is why the Select Committee said that we need to be a bit careful here. There's $245,000 of unspent income in respect of the D&D Barker Memorial Trust. And the terms of the prescribed purpose of that trust is a scholarship to be awarded to any boy who is or whose parent have been resident in Gisborne or the counties of Cook, Waikoa, Uawa, Waipu or Makatoawa, and who is of New Zealand Maori ethnic origin. And I find it very hard to accept that Christ College can't find